Well, it seems like it's been a bit. WillyMac is a commentary YouTuber who primarily makes videos covering political or politically adjacent content creators, calling them out for their behavior. I don't want to talk about his commentary for now, I'll leave that for a possible future video. Instead, what I have an issue with is his sponsors. Now, this isn't a call for sponsors to drop Willy, no. Quite the opposite actually, it's for Willy to drop these sponsors. I believe that creators who use their platform to maliciously benefit from their audience and take advantage of them do not deserve a platform. People who run crypto scams generally do not deserve a platform because they are willing to scam their audience for their money. Now, are the audience members stupid? Of course, but that doesn't excuse the creators essentially creating the pitfall for their audience to fall in. Am I calling for Willy to be banned? No. However, I would like Willy to address the points in this video. Now, Willy has done quite a few sponsors, most being what is advertised, but one of Willy's most recent vids actually took something in me that I just couldn't ignore. When I looked into the topic, I came to the opinion that Willy is hugely misleading his audience and what some others may consider scamming, knowingly or not. This video will go in order from least consequential to most negligent sponsorship from what I believe. Now, why am I being such an ass about this sort of thing? Well, when you make a statement such as this
is one of those rare instances where the science is clear.
It is the audience perceived notion that you, WillyMacShow, have done the research yourself and have verified that the claims you are telling your audience are true. Therefore, if said statements are untrue, not only are you misleading your audience, then that also means that any quote-unquote research you do pertaining to yourself is sketchy at best and misleading at worst. This shoots your credibility to clear yourself of any allegations in the future or previously. With that, let's get into it. These products are alright. We have a couple like Rocket Money, Ground News, Aura, some wallets and wooden accessories as far as I've seen are real products. There's not much to say here. Moving on.
And it makes me feel like I need a lawyer up for the mental damage done to me. But most people don't realize that when you get workers' comp or an injury from a car accident, the insurance companies are often trying their best to take advantage of your inexperience so they could pay you as little as possible. That's why Morgan & Morgan exists.
It's a fucking law firm. Yeah, there's not much to say about this one. It's basically the McDonald's of law firms. I just wouldn't recommend some people to it because the lawyers take on multiple cases and are overworked, and they might not have the time to pay attention to your particular case, so it might be better to go elsewhere. Not that bad though. Continuing on.
Need ZBiotic pre-alcohol to get through this. Fruity. We all have busy lives and we can't waste a day stuck inside sitting on the couch because we had a couple drinks the night before. Pre-alcohol is the first genetically engineered probiotic. It was designed by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Me and my dad just went on a father-son vacation, drank one of these, hit a punching bag, might have broke my hand, but hey, he's the one who was sleeping until 9 while I got up and went on a 3-mile run. So who's the real dummy? Not me. What I know is that it works and they plan on coming out with all sorts of products that have nothing to do with alcohol. So if you want to stay in the loop, go to zbiotics.com/WillyMac or scan the QR code right now if you want 15% off when using code WillyMac at checkout. And it's backed with a 100% money back guarantee if you're unsatisfied for any reason. That's how confident they are in their product. Thank you ZBiotics for sponsoring this video.
ZBiotics is a sponsor that isn't as egregious as the next two sponsors, but Willy's words are misleading the viewer nonetheless, and even misinforming them. Now, let's look at the structure of this ad. We introduce a problem, we introduce the product as a solution, we appeal to authority, we claim the science is real, we use a personal anecdote, and your money back guaranteed if unsatisfied. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol is a probiotic drink that essentially is supposed to help with hangovers in the morning by eliminating acetaldehyde, a byproduct of ethanol, in the gut, and converting it into acetate using an enzyme. And unlike acetaldehyde, which is a highly reactive and toxic molecule, acetate is a safe, stable, and usable energy source. Now, looking at ZBiotics research, while hypothetically this enzyme could work and theoretically it should work, reality is often skewed. The research shows that 2 cultures of their own genetically modified enzyme could break down the acetaldehyde, and rat studies showed it's safe to ingest. But there's no animal studies, let alone clinical trials, indicating that this product reduces hangovers. If you pay attention, neither the website nor Willy's ad reads say anything about hangovers. Instead, they just imply that you'll be better in the morning, aka no hangover. Now, what Willy will say in another ad,
this is one of those rare instances where the science is clear.
And he says that hangover's sole cause is this acetaldehyde and not dehydration. This is just blatantly false. Multiple factors affect the hangover, and I could pull up several articles and medical documents that show that this isn't true. But who's better than the own CEO and founder of ZBiotics, who in this article says, and I quote, This is not your get out of jail free card, hangover cure, because that doesn't exist. Anybody who's telling you that is really selling snake oil, because a hangover is a very complex set of symptoms that is caused by a lot of different things. So when Willy says that acetaldehyde is the sole cause of a hangover, this is just blatantly false, and according to their own CEO, Willy and the company are both selling snake oil.
Fume is the all-natural flavored air device, which are quickly becoming the leading alternatives to vaping and smoking. The best part is there's no nicotine, no vapor, no battery, and that means there's no restrictions. You could use it anywhere. I think we all have that friend, coworker, or family member that's struggling with a bad habit. Well, Fume is the perfect gift to get them on the right track. My favorite part about Fume is that's the greatest fidget toy ever made. You can twist it, tap it. It's magnetic. You can get this base for it that's so satisfying to use, and it comes in a wide variety of flavors. My favorite is spearmint. I had this horrible habit of getting stuck or bored at work, so I'd get up and grab a snack or a fourth cup of coffee that I definitely don't need. Now I just fidget with my Fume a bit, get a little stimulant of flavor, and I'm right back to work. So this holiday season, give a loved one the gift of better habits by having them join the over 700,000 people that have switched to Fume. You use code WillyMac when you order the Journey Pack, you'll get a free Fume topper, which makes the fidgeting that much better. Again, that's tryfume.com/WillyMac or scan the QR code to start today. Thank you, Fume, for sponsoring this video.
Now, if you're a constant viewer of Willy's videos, then this sponsor is no surprise to you. Fume is a constant sponsor on Willy's channel. It's essentially an overpriced fidget toy with the ability to inhale essential oils as a way to replace quote-unquote bad habits. Oh, Jesus. Where do I start with this? First off, let's start with their slogan, the good habit. In what way is this a good habit? While they don't explicitly say it, it's implied that this is a replacement for smoking and vaping due to the mouth sensation and inhaling sensations. However, there's a couple of problems I have with this. One, it's still an overly expensive subscription service that isn't going to save you so much money. Two, it's not even proven to work. In their own science page, they have their own quote-unquote published research saying it's twice as effective as alternatives. However, this study isn't a clinical trial, it's not peer-reviewed, and it's not published on an actual outlet anywhere except on their own site. This is a survey on opinions, meaning it's not an experiment and can lead to huge bias. It doesn't measure quitting rates, just how they feel in the moment and if they would quit with the device. If Fume is meant to make smokers quit, it sure as hell doesn't meet the criteria to do that. Sure, it achieves the fidgeting and mouth sensation, however you can get that for cheaper, like using toothpicks, gum, straws, and mints. The major factor Fume doesn't help smokers with is nicotine addiction, aka withdrawals. So in this regard, arguably the most important when dealing with addicts, it doesn't appear to address the addiction itself. Can it help some people? Sure, but there's cheaper alternatives that fill the role that Fume sets out to fill that aren't subscription based, especially because you are inhaling essential oils. Is it as detrimental as a cigarette or a vape? No, but just because it's not as bad as a cigarette doesn't mean it isn't harmful. Part of the pitch is that it doesn't have nicotine, no vapors, nor a battery, and instead uses clean, natural flavors. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's harmless. Some of the most deadly toxins are naturally occurring. Third-party testing states that the cores do not have unsafe ingredients, their microbe counts are low or not present, and heavy metal levels were well below the detectable limit. The only toxicology report they have is on how much an exaggerated draw takes and how much they could be consumed in a day. They concluded that at 1 microliter a draw, around 200 draws a day, using the density of the oil, they got an estimate that is well below standards set by Canada. However, there's still an issue that I have with this toxicology report, and that simply there's no study on the long-term health effects of inhaling essential oils. We know that essential oils can lead to chronic airway irritation, inflammation, allergies, and sensitization, but the health effects of the essential oils directly into the airways of people is unknown and concerning, especially when you advertise the product to people looking to quit smoking who may already be vulnerable in the lungs. It's a little irresponsible to me. Yes, it's way better than smoking nicotine, but again, that doesn't make it harmless. So when Willy advertises the product to normal people who don't smoke as a good habit that can replace stuff such as drinking more coffee or scrolling on the phone, I just question your integrity and whether you actually use this product and believe what it does. To me, it kind of just seems like the old essential oil MLMs.
Now, I'm not a looks maxer, but I am a health maxer. Stem cells, they're all the rage. Wrestlers and even Joe Rogan have talked about how they've repaired their injuries.
How have you been able to do it for this long?
So right around 2014, my body was broken down. I ran into stem cells, and ever since then, that's been my fountain of youth.
The United States is behind on stem cell therapy due to a lot of overregulation, forcing people to go overseas, sometimes spending $50,000 on an expensive placenta stem cell injection. You can actually support your own stem cells with high flavanol cocoa. That's right, dark chocolate. Harvard scientist William Li actually backs this up.
The flavanols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow like bees in a beehive in your bloodstream, and they go out and they find wherever it needs to be repaired. And so we can eat foods like high flavanol cocoa in order to be able to actually get the stem cells to work a little bit better. Well, clinical studies have been done with high flavanol cocoa to show that in like men who are in their 60s with heart disease, they could actually just have 2 cups of dark chocolate hot cocoa a day for a month. Yeah. And they doubled the amount of stem cells in their bloodstream.
But here's the thing, flavanols are the good thing found in cocoa beans. They're usually destroyed during the chocolate making process. That's where Black Forest Supplements comes in with the first ever high flavanol cocoa powder, packed with everything your body needs. It's only 30 calories. I health max by putting it in my coffee, but you can put it in your protein shake or whatever. This isn't regular cocoa, it's stem cell fuel. Buy one, get one free on their best-selling cocoa formula, available for the next 48 hours only. This is one of those rare instances where the science is clear. If you've been thinking about trying it, there's no better time than right now. So hit the link in the description or the pinned comment and health max today. Thank you, Black Forest, for sponsoring this video.
Finally, we get into the most egregious advertisement and the reason why I made this video. I'm not gonna lie, this ad did make my blood boil when I first saw it, especially coming from someone like Willy who prides himself in their research. Willy's comment section seems to agree with me as well, calling him a scammer and a sellout. For my own assessment, this is at best hugely misleading and at worst illegal. The biggest thing Willy said that really pissed me off was when he said,
"This is one of those rare instances where the science is clear."
Okay, let's do a breakdown of the ad again. We present a new craze, we insert a celebrity anecdote, we claim the government is preventing us from said craze, we introduce a cheaper solution, we appeal to authority, sell the product, and we claim the science is up to snuff. Now, let's go in order of the claims being made. 1. Overregulation is the reason why stem cell therapy isn't accessible in the US. This is a simple oversimplification of the truth. First off, there's only one stem cell therapy available in the US, which are hematopoietic stem cell transplants for cancers and other disorders in order to regenerate the dead cells from chemotherapy, which is approved by the FDA. Any other stem cell therapies are currently experimental as they are tested to see if they are safe and effective. The quote overregulation part of this claim is simply making sure these procedures are safe and effective before being approved, often requiring clinical trials, which is funny to ignore the science when your whole shtick is the science being clear in this ad. Also, using Rey Mysterio's personal anecdote does not count as scientific evidence, and who knew the multi-millionaire legacy wrestler could get advanced treatment to help heal injuries. Also, bringing up Joe Rogan as a reliable source is laughable, same guy who brings up people who shill products and pseudoscience.
The hieroglyphs actually carry the information in the form. And so the form of those shapes, now we've, some of the greatest minds on the earth are starting to recognize that if you draw one of those shapes and show it to a human mind, it creates an incredible medical response. You can reverse inflammation, all kinds of things by looking at the shape.
2. Appeal to authority. Willy uses Dr. William Lee as an appeal to authority by using his own words to promote a product that the doctor himself has endorsed. Dr. Lee is also just wrong or oversimplifying his claims for a wider audience because there are no studies that link flavanols directly to stem cell regeneration. I will try and simplify the language so a general audience can understand and throw up on the screen general definitions in order so you can follow along. The study that Dr. William Lee seems to be citing is the one in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, published in 2010, where the title and PMID will be on the screen. In the study, 16 patients with coronary heart disease in their 60s participated in a trial where they were all given periods of high flavanol intervention of around 375 mg, keep this amount in mind for later, and periods of low flavanol intervention at 9 mg for a month. The results showed that the circulating angiogenic cells increased by twofold in a high flavanol diet compared to a low flavanol diet. However, the researchers clearly state the function of these cells had not changed, only the amount. So what does this all mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, first off, let's make something clear. Hematopoietic stem cells are not general stem cells, which are not angiogenic cells. Stem cells are like someone going to college with an undeclared major. They can realistically become anything. Hematopoietic stem cells are like if you chose a major in general bio. You have a specialization, but it's still pretty broad that you can be anything within that major. Angiogenic cells are a broad term of cells that help with angiogenesis, which is the formation of blood vessels from pre-existing vessels. This is like if you were a biochem major. Completely different from a general bio major, but still pretty broad. In the study, CD34 is a surface protein most commonly found in hematopoietic cells and progenitor cells for vascular function. It is used commonly as a biomarker or an indicator for experiments that have to do with the blood. This is where the doctor seems to have misunderstood or oversimplified because the study clearly states circulating angiogenic cells, which as I said, are progenitor cells that have to do with vascular function, aka building and repairing blood vessels. When looking at the full clip, he states that these are stem cells that can repair the heart, kidney, and skin, which again is a giant oversimplification of what they are and what I believe he is just wrong about, because it sounds like he's talking about general stem cells, which, as we've established, are not the same as hematopoietic stem cells. The study also simply showed these angiogenic cells doubled but didn't become more efficient, which is not indicative of increased repair power or speed, nor if they reached the tissues they were supposed to go to. I could keep critiquing Dr. Lee's science communication, however, that is not the purpose of this video. While most of the methods are good, it is a very small sample size. It only lasted about a month. The patients were in their 60s and they also had coronary heart disease. It's a good foundational study, however, it's not indicative of the general population, especially Willy's audience, and more research is needed to say the science is clear. So to use Dr. William Lee's credentials to back up a product that he just is clearly wrong about is just very misleading towards the audience. 3. The chocolate making process destroys flavanols. This claim is partially true. Yes, the typical milk chocolate making process does indeed get rid of some nutrients, but dark chocolate, up to 70%, and most cocoa aren't as processed and deliver their nutrients. Black Forest Supplements claims 1200 milligrams of flavanols, but it's hard to find third-party testing on this product whether this amount is true. Also, just because there's more of a certain nutrient doesn't mean all of it is absorbed. Most studies had significantly lower quantities of flavanols than what Black Forest has, and if you know anything about the human body, it's that nutrients do not scale linearly. The bioavailability of a nutrient is how much is absorbed and reaches circulation, which if the flavanols surpasses, it can very well be easily excreted or metabolized in the body and not be used at all. 4. Flavanols are stem cell fuel. Again, this is a claim by Willy that is so perplexing to say when there is once again no studies directly linking flavanols to stem cells. Studies suggest that flavanols may have cardiovascular benefits. That is not comparable to the claims being made, especially when you're pairing alongside regenerative medicine claims. It is perplexing to say the least. What I find most curious is that nowhere on Black Forest Supplements page do they even advertise stem cell benefits. If you didn't know about supplements, let me educate you. The Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 defines and regulates supplements as food, not drugs. This means that they do not require approval, proving effectiveness, or clinical trials before they are sold, unlike a drug. Due to this, they cannot make explicit health claims, only say they support bodily functions. The use of influencers to peddle a product is kind of a loophole, as it's harder to track these claims. Therefore, they can make more outrageous claims in the form of an ad read while keeping their own website liability free. Most influencer ads go under the radar as there aren't enough resources by the FTC to pursue these claims. So when I see Willy saying that flavanols are stem cell fuel, this is a huge red flag, as not only implies that your stem cells will increase, but your regenerative factor will as well, due to the mentioning of it during the Rey Mysterio anecdote. This can make the company liable for the health claims and might be considered illegal. 5.
This is one of those rare instances where the science is clear.
So when Willy says the science is clear, I expect to see, and this is a mouthful, bear with me now, multiple independent, large, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials that have been replicated, peer-reviewed, and accepted by major scientific organizations, which there aren't any. The current studies have small sample sizes, there's limited replication, and most of the results are uncertain and require further testing. Just because a result is uncertain doesn't mean you get to run off into the high hills and claim the benefits are real. There's also the possibility of targeting vulnerable people in his audience who may have gone through a major accident and are desperate for a cheaper alternative to get better. They see this ad and see Willy spout that the science is clear and waste money on this overly expensive cocoa because Willy claimed that he could magically heal like their favorite wrestler. Overall, this is why I would consider this ad hugely misleading towards his audience. While yes, the product is real and gets delivered, the claims made by Willy aren't close to being true and imply regenerative medicine, which as a supplement is illegal. Hell, the FDA as of 2023 made a statement about flavanols and said that there isn't enough evidence to support the claims about them reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease. No mention of stem cells. So, what are the key takeaways and common rebuttals a viewer or Willy might respond with? I've been trying to be as charitable as possible this whole time, but I should let the viewer know that at this point I will be, what the English say, taking the piss on Willy. Is Willy solely to blame? No. Companies usually give their ad reads to creators, or a creator can make their own ad read as long as they hit a couple of talking points. These ad reads must be approved by the company and their lawyers so they don't get into legal trouble. So yes, responsibility falls on the company, however the product and claims wouldn't have made it to the audience if you had done your research. It kind of like crypto coins, which is what I find ironic about the whole thing. Willy brands himself as someone who will go above and beyond and do the research unlike other people and call out other creators for spreading misinformation, slander, and misleading statements, from most notably Hassan. So when Willy takes money from a sponsorship that shows he hasn't done his own research and is at best misleading his audience and at worst spreading misinformation in order to sell a product, then that hurts your own credibility and puts into question the research on yourself to look better and the research you do on people you dislike. This makes audiences look back at situations like your docs or your ties to Destiny with much greater scrutiny because it shows your inconsistencies. A big counterpoint will be that Willy didn't explicitly say the products were cures or treatments, and yes, that's right, but he heavily implied them by having them be talking points in the ad read. Hell, Willy should know better than any of us on implying stuff without blatantly saying it, considering that's Yeah, what is it? What do you call it again?
So when I see this clip, it's obviously a dog whistle to fuck with me. He literally gets a donation that says, I understand what we must do. Wink, wink. It's the dog whistle call to action that's the problem. It's so obvious, Faith. I'm not even sure if Augie knows what a dog whistle is. He's like, unless Queeman pulls up Willy's docs and then says, I love doxing Willy, it's all fine.
Right. A dog whistle. Thank you for your expertise. Now, I'm not saying the ad reads are dog whistles, but I think you get the picture that they are kind of a nudge, wink, wink kind of advertising for liability issues. Some may say that it's all marketing lingo and to not take it seriously, especially from a creator, but that's a weak argument. First off, we're making health claims while misleading about the issue and even fear-mongering in order to push a product. That is more than marketing lingo. That's negligence, or just lying to get a payday. Health claims deserve higher scrutiny than your average product. Second, this kind of advertising can also prey on vulnerable people in the audience, or target their medical anxieties through this language. And as I've stated, when some of the info is greatly misrepresented to the claims being made, then that is a major issue. Third, when you say the science is clear, the audience puts a great emphasis on that and even uses your credentials as the research guy to trust the claims made even more. Now, will Willy respond to this video? Hell no. Even if this video were to get enough traction to warrant a response, I don't think he would, and instead dodge this video. I mean, he's already done it to another creator's video, aka Kilotonic's Hassan Bad vid, where in it, Kilo criticizes several creators for attacking Hassan maliciously with out-of-context clips and moot points. In the Papa Gut stream, when asked if he would respond to Kilo's video, he utilizes his coined term, the Hassan system: hide, ignore the critic's content to obscure their argument, and alter, drastically misrepresent the opposing view by saying it's a 4-hour-long video. This is a laughable defense. First off, yes, the video is 4 hours long, but if Willy even clicked on it, checked the timestamps, he would know the segment on him is 14 minutes long, the average length of a commentary slop channel upload. Second, he says it's pointless to respond, which is laughable when your credibility is being hugely contested and you're also being criticized for your bias, lack of evidence, spreading false allegations, dishonesty, and incompetence. He also says the video has no views, when at the time the video had around 49k views and has now gone up to around 80k, which is pretty substantial and sounds like a way to hide from criticism. If Hassan acknowledged a similar critique video on him and said he wouldn't react to it because it has no views, Willy would blow a gasket and criticize him for that. It only gets more ironic when Willy has used one of Kilo's videos as a source, when Kilo had significantly less views and subscribers. So to use less viewed videos and creators to criticize your opponents is okay, but when the same creators make a video where you are criticized, you can simply shrug it off as a nothing burger? Is that right? Does that mean President Sunday gets a free pass and your whole criticism is null considering you used Kilo's video? There's some more stuff I find ironic about the Black Forest supplements ad. First, in a video where he makes fun of the manosphere, he blatantly promotes a product and company that sells products as a part of the manosphere. Also, nice title, dumbass. The second ironic part of this ad is that days later, he'd make fun of Pokimane for selling her health cookies, which, yes, she was stupid for, especially her response, but it's hugely hypocritical considering he's shilling an overly expensive healthy hot cocoa powder while making way more outrageous health claims than she ever did about her cookies. Once again, the reason for this video is that Willy is hugely misleading his audience on his claims, which are overstated in most cases and blatant misinformation in others, which hurt his reputation as someone who prides himself in doing the most research. Also, remember when he said his Jewish wife from Israel did not influence his politics? Yet later in this video, he oddly makes this remark.
Now that Sneeko's been hit, he acts like Iran and just starts flailing at everyone.
Man, I wonder if Willy believes that Iran has had weapons of mass destruction for the last 20 years. Anyways, that's my video on Willy Snake Oil Show. If you enjoyed, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps out. I will try and be more consistent, I swear. My next video will probably be on the Tectone court case, outlining it in its entirety in an objective and non-biased view. So look forward for that. I have other videos also planned, so if you'd like to see them, please subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye-bye.